My name is Nancy Elwood. Most people know. My company is Nature's Portal. And I have been doing photography 35 years or so. Started in the dark ages. You remember them little film canisters? Yeah, I used to carry them around all over the world. Weren't they fun? The people that can remember those things. But anyway, changed over to digital photography in 2008. And I've been with Nikon pretty much for the whole time. And hasn't all these technical things and advances certainly helped. And now that we're speaking about lenses, which is what we're doing today, really not necessarily camera bodies. I started out, we didn't have VR and all that stuff back in the day. I'm pretty much a prime person. Obviously, zooms have increased in their accuracy, sharpness and such over time. It used to be zooms, especially the aperture, multiple aperture zooms were not very good at all. They certainly improved over time, but I'm kind of stuck in old fashioned with primes, and my two non-primes are the 24 to 120 Z and my 70 to f 2.8 Z. Anyway, all righty, it's 7 o'clock. So our talk is about the 500 f/5.6 PF lens of Nikon and the Nikon Z 400-4.5. I'm going to preface this. Hey, Renee, I can see you. Okay. I'm going to preface this with the fact that overall, with autofocus speed and sharpness, I can't tell a difference between these two lenses. The contrast is a little different with the Z mount. As you can see, if you take away the adapter, really the difference in the size is minuscule. 500 PF is 9.33 inches, and the 400-4.5 is 9.2. Not significant. But of course, with the 500 PF, you're going to have to use the adapter. The weight, something to consider, although we all know the 500 PF was a fabulous lens, and at 3 pounds, we all drooled over it in regards to, as opposed to our 500 f4s and 600 f4s. The 500 PF is 3.21 pounds. The 400-4.5 is 2.7. Okay. Now,
awesome.
If I remove somebody by accident, come back in, please, and I'll admit you. But I think I got everybody. Sorry about that. I guess that's the problem with these things. And I don't have somebody at my admin person. So bear with me on that. But anyway, I think we got everybody. Anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch. Another interesting fact, while we're on just kind of factual stuff, details, the minimum focusing distance for the 500 PF is 9.84 feet. It was never great, but it is what it is. And the 400-4.5 is 8.2 feet. Whether that's important to you or not, sometimes the 500 PF was a bit annoying that way, but anyway. With the 500 PF and TCs, I used to use a 1.4 all the time. We have to remember some things. Let me just, I'm going to backtrack here. And with the DSLRs and the focusing point of DSLRs, the focusing points were very different than what the mirrorless focusing points are. The DSLR focusing points, if you remember in the, well, I'm not going to go way back, but the D850, the D500, we had 151 focusing points. Now, depending on what lenses you used and the aperture and whether you were using TCs or not, it actually decided how many accurate focus points you had. They were cross-hatched focusing points and non-cross-hatched focusing points. The cross-hatched focusing points were much more accurate than the non-cross-hatched. And if you remember in the day Canon, if you had an f8 on there due to the fact of a lens or with a TC, it wouldn't autofocus. You had to manually focus. The Nikon didn't do that, but Canon did. Well, that all had to do with if you people say you put a TC on, my autofocus is awful. Well, that was because the only accurate autofocus point was in the very middle, and it was just one. That was the reason for that. Besides the fact, obviously, you're letting less light in. So you had compound problems. Well, the mirrorless, you got to throw all that away. Yes, you're letting less light in. It is what it is, f8, f2.8, that. The autofocus points now with 400 and some in the Z8 and Z9 has no crosshatched or non-crosshatched. They are of equal accuracy. So therefore, the TCs actually work better. And they also make it so you don't, the old adage is back button focus and I have to this and recompose. Don't have to do that anymore because you're going to get as equally sharp on the sides as you are in the middle. So all that had to do that we were all trained and it was just ingrained in us. We got to go to the center and focus. Well, you can throw that out. You can compose while you're doing the picture, which is actually wonderful. But anyway, so in a way, this is where some of these things come in. The advantage of the 4.5 comes in. Not so much of the autofocus speed or the sharpness of them, but all these buttons on this 4.5. All the rings and the buttons are all customizable. You really don't have that with the 500 PF. You do have a button down here that I used to do it, a focus on the spot. You could do it, but none of the rings work that way or anything like that. And if you wanted to see that peak of focus peaking, you actually had to have this lens in manual focus to have that work properly. The f4.5, you don't have to. I mean, you set the autofocus and the settings for the 4.5 or any of the Z lenses in the camera, not on the lens anymore. Whereas the F mount lenses, you had to set it on the lens. Whereas the 4.5, as soon as you get that up and start, if you choose this ring, the focusing ring, it immediately will show you that focus peaking. And in the beginning, that was an annoyance to me. And I didn't know whether I was going to like it or not. But I actually like it now. And if you think about it, when I have the bird in focus, I actually tweak that ring a little bit. And it's kind of amazing. That bird will light up and you'll see none of the background, which is wonderful. Like, you know that the bird is the main plane of focus. So it kind of helps you in that. Well, I think so. This again was back in the day that used to be the live mode, live view mode in the back of the camera back in the DSLR days. And nobody used it for wildlife, at least. It was all landscape stuff. Well, now we have it. We have a live view, everything. Viewfinder, monitor, and the lot. The other thing with this 400-4.5 that'll show when you do the ring, it'll show you your distance in either meters or feet. which is kind of cool. Because I'm not very good at saying, well, people saying, well, how far away was that subject? I said, I'm not very good at that. And I freely admitted that. But that actually, when you do the peak focusing and doing it the other way, it'll show a little bar at the bottom, and it'll actually show you how far what you have focused is, how far away you are. And I think that's kind of cool. Now the 500 PF doesn't have that. Obviously, the Z lenses are going to be just matched really nicely with either the Z8 or the Z9. Well, actually, for any of the Z cameras, really. But I think most people here are got the Z9 or Z8, but it would be with the Z6 or 7 too. I have, as far as the TC goes, I have used this 400-4.5 mostly with the 1.4. I've not tried it with the 2X. The 2X that would make it an f9 lens. Obviously, we know f9 probably not great. As Renee knows, coming from Canada. Folks, we have a convert over here. I brought her to the dark side.
Renee. But I have no camera.
Yeah, but now she's had to send her poor first Nikon camera. She's had to send back to get it done. But anyway, I got her on the road. She's really awesome, Renee. Anyway, meanwhile, I mostly use this as a 1.4 converter, so it makes it a 6.3, and I could see no difference in that. Obviously, you have a 6.3 as opposed to a 4.5. But as far as sharpness, autofocus, whatever, I can't tell difference. And there was a lady, one of my friends who was in Kenya with me, and she had the kit. She had the Z9 with the 4.5, and she used the 1.4 TC most of the time. And she has not picked up her and she had the 500 PF, and she did not pick up her 500 PF since then. She loves the combo. So whether I'm not going to sell my 500 PF, it's a unique lens, I think, and I don't think we're going to find it. I don't think they're going to have it again. That could be wrong. I'm keeping my 300 PF and my 500 PF because I just think they're unique lenses.
Shut the fuck up.
And okay, we'll get that out of the way. Sorry, aren't people strange? I don't know. Anyway, so, but my traveling is going to be the 400-4.5 most likely, especially when I'm traveling on the plane and trips and such. So that's really sort of how I feel about the two lenses. If you, obviously you have 700 f8 with the 500 PF. You have 6.3 and 560 with the 400-4.5. You know, I don't know. This is like where you shoot. Is distance very critical? We do have to remember we have a 45 megapixels cameras, which is very croppable. And I do have a button set for DX, and I use the DX mode. It's just like your D500. Appreciate the fact that I would not do DX mode and crop 50%. But it's similar. It's a 19.5 megapixel instead of 20 point. I think the D500 was 20.2, 20.4. So do you like all the nooks and buttons and knobs that all match up well with the Z9, or you don't really care about that and you need the 700? Yeah, you can probably flip of the coin. Personal preference, I suppose. I do like I like the fact that I'm going to be getting rid of the adapter, even though it's not terrible. But I have to say, I don't know anybody, the people that have followed me with the tripod and my new head with the Manfrotto head. I actually was using that this week. I actually set up with the 400-4.5 with the TC on that, and I didn't need the rail to balance. So that was kind of the rail to balance, as opposed when I had, whether it had to do with the extra length because the adapter and stuff with the 500 PF, I don't know. But I actually took that rail off. Not that the rail is a bad thing. It could be used in other purposes, but I actually can just use that Manfrotto head with the Kirk replacement. And it actually, I have the Kirk feet on all my lenses. So that's my main thing. And I seem to be able to balance that head very well without the rail. So that was something I found. Also, this hood is much better. It actually has the feel of the 500 f4 hoods, as opposed to the 500 PF, which I always thought was a pain in the patootie. It was plastic, and I actually lost it on one of my hikes in Costa Rica, but it was actually found. But this one fits and everything much better. And like I said, it has the build more of the bigger lenses. So that's nice. Aside from that, the build quality of both lenses are very good. They're both weather sealed and such, so I wouldn't worry about that. I have opted for the Roland Pro lens. I hate to say a lens coat because they're made in the US. I would love to buy from them, but I wish they would have better sewing around the edges, because they've always been, everybody's had them, and they are a US company, and I'd much prefer to buy from a US company, but I hope they hear us a little bit. Maybe it may be easy enough to do that, but anyway, aside from all that. So that's my really conclusion of that. I like all the dials and knobs and stuff, and I can now that I've got the Z lenses, now that I have all three now that I'm going to travel with, my kit is 2 Z9s, the 70-200 f2.8Z, the 24-120Z, and the 400-4.5Z, and the 2 TCs. That is my kit. So because of that, now I can do a little bit more adoption with the dials, because having F lenses and Z lenses and some dials and not dials and some, that was a bit kind of somewhat annoying. But now that I've got that, I'll be able to customize some of this stuff, and it'll adopt to all the lenses, which is kind of nice that way. So, I'm not going to badmouth either one. They're both great lenses, and I just like all the frills and the matching up of the 4.5 to the Z cameras. So, but other than that, as far as picture quality and everything like that, I can't tell the difference. If you can tell the difference, great. I can't tell the difference. Now that we've got sort of pretty much all my stuff done, if you have any questions, you can either write or unmute yourself and chime in. If there's anything, I'm trying to see if there's anybody here with any questions. Renee, go ahead.
So what are you going to shoot the Quetzals with? The
what?
The Quetzals. You're going to do 4.400.
I'm going to use, well, Renee is asking me about the Quetzals, which is the nests and stuff in Costa Rica. And that's pretty much a setup that we do. We're on tripods, and that's where I used that pre-capture. It was a great, using the pre-capture is very cool. Renee, I was actually using the 300 f4 a lot. And I actually wanted just a 400, and the 500 was too much.
Okay, I thought you were using your 5.
No. So actually, this is going to be perfect, and the 4.5 will be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I can always, anyway, so for Costa Rica, really, this is good because through the rainforest and such, I would be hiking with my 300 f4. Well, I'm not going to bring my 300 f4 now. I'll be having this, and it's a light setup.
Mm-hmm.
Very, so it actually, everybody, those people, I know lots of friends that live out in the Pacific Northwest, and boy, the more distance, the better. They love their 800 and stuff. Everybody has to take an account about where you travel, your local setup. I mean, 800 millimeters in Florida, I had the eyeballs on the eyeballs. I mean, we're just spoiled.
Yeah.
And Costa Rica is really similar in many ways. Ecuador, I'm going to be in Ecuador a lot over the next couple of years. We're going to set up some trips to Ecuador. We're going to partition Ecuador into like 3 parts to have trips. So anybody stay tuned to that. That'll be starting in 2025. And the Galapagos, well, God, you walk on the paths and the nests are right there in front of you. So for me, personally, I like the ability to be quick, mobile, and comfortable with my kit. Not that I'm getting old, I'm getting wiser, I keep telling people, not old. But I also don't want to be lifting thousands of pounds, and I don't want to have to ask people, although I love when people help me, don't get me wrong, but I travel, get places on my own and stuff, and I prefer to be able to lift my stuff up and take care of myself that way. So I think I have a perfect kit. Now I've compromised with the Z9s, appreciating the fact that those are 3 pounds, but that's okay. The kit's good, and with the lenses, I feel very comfortable with. So that's the other reason. B&H, I finally said, Adorama actually took my 500 f4. If you're selling your kits, just get them out of DSLR kits, because boy, the market is just being flooded and nobody wants them. You got to hit one of the big stores that actually are able to handle them, because otherwise nobody
wants them. B&H has been pretty good for me.
Has it?
Yeah,
Right.
I sold several to get and I got the 20 for astral work. I'm up here in the Panhandle, and we're getting,
yeah.
It's Milky Way time, and then lightning,
Well, that's good. Well, but B&H was my second one. It was between B&H and Adorama.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, okay, just send me the check. It bought me my kit, this. So I just say, you know what? It is what it is. It's no sense in having it sit in the closet.
I was torn between the 400 and, as Clark asked, the upcoming 180 to 600. Of course, it's not a prime, and like you, I'm a prime person. But my 500 PF tripod, the foot ring doesn't come off, and the knob failed. There is only a little tiny piece of plastic in there when you turn that tripod foot adjustment to lock it down.
You're talking about this ring?
Yes,
here?
exactly. There is only a tiny piece of plastic under that ring that holds it there, and it failed, and they wanted 500 to fix it.
Ooh.
And I can't take it off or replace it. So there's where I'm at, because I was kind of resigned. I love the 500 PF. We've got a lot of bald eagles up here in Osprey, and it's a lot of fun. But if I can't get it fixed and I can't mount it, it's less
stable that way.
Less stable. And so I think listening to you, I will sell the extension rings I've got and the F to Z2 and that, and just go ahead and take on the 400.
The 180, you know, the 180 to the 600, I won't probably badmouth that one either. I mean, I've not shot with it, not handled it. It certainly sounds like a much better lens than the 200 to 500.
Yes.
Much better. The throw on it, apparently they've learned from Sony. So it's really kind of it's only 70 degrees. It's really kind of that. It's lighter than the 200, 500. It's not a push pull, you know, it's Anyway, it'll probably be a great lens. I'm just kind of stuck on the primes because of my old ways, but I'm sure it'll be a great lens. But I probably wouldn't put a TC on.
That's the thing. The way I shoot, like you, the primes are the thing. I'm going to keep my 105, so I'll keep the converter because I like my 105 portrait lens a bunch. And I'll sell the 70 to 200, 2.8. I'll sell the 500 PF and get the 4. I think that's the deal.
Yeah, well, like I said, everything is really about, you know, the area you shoot and things like that. And everybody has to, and what they want to handle. Thing is that I want to be able to get out of cars or on a hike. I want to be able to just, or have, you know, just a monopod, maybe if I'm hiking through the rainforest and stuff. I don't want to have to say, oh, wait a minute, I got to get on my tripod and blah. Exactly. Not that I don't use a tripod at times, I do, but I don't want to have to depend on it totally. And I know at some point, not that I'm like, we get back to that age thing.
No, don't say it.
At some point, I mean, my 500 F4, I had the latest one, the FL, and I was able to handhold that pretty well. But it certainly got old if we were on a mile hike. Yeah. Because it's 6.8 pounds. And then you tack on the Z9 at 3, you know, you got to be realistic with yourself. That's sort of my feeling about all this. And everybody to their own.
Yeah, I think I've got a plan thanks to you and your comparison of the weight and the handling and how it handles with extensions and or just popping it into DX once in a while if you have to.
That's what I would do with that. I would not put it into that. Clark, you've got a upcoming 180 to 600. Well, I think we've kind of gone over that. I'm sure it's going to be a great lens. And if you're into the zooms, I think, and it certainly will match up with the Z lenses infinitely better than the adapter and the 200, 500 by far. No doubt about that. That'll make that 200, 500 kind of up. I mean, especially if you go into the Z bodies. The Paul, I have not tried the 800Z. I have several clients with them that will be going on trips. I did handle it. I had a client in Costa Rica, actually, that he had the 800, which is he was always kind of stepping way back. But I did handle it. He had the Z9. It's great handle. It's an amazing lens in regards to weight and everything. Couldn't put you off of that either. Now, I wouldn't use it with a TC. There again. But I don't want to travel with that size lens. The weight of it is great from that perspective. But I just, and the price, you know, even though it's a lot of money, relatively speaking, it's relatively inexpensive for what it is. But I've only handled it. I've not really shot with it much. So that's I'm trying to think if I'm trying to see if there's any other questions. I'm looking on the Facebook. Oh, from New Zealand, Mark. I love your country.
I actually have a question.
I was there once and I'd love to go back, but this time I'd like to go back for about a month. It's a wonderful country and enjoyed it tremendously. I was there about 3 years ago. Wonderful, wonderful people, clean, wonderful food. Boy, it was wonderful. So at some point in
I have
time,
a question.
I would like to go back there.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Who's got a question?
Young photo kid.
I got you. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm 10 years old and I'm trying to get into photo. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but what camera would you prefer so I could get my first camera?
Well, glad on you there. Okay. I would say if you could get the Z5.
Yeah, that's what my parents were recommending. So I think I'm gonna go with the C5. Thank you.
Yeah, go. Good luck. Go for it,
Mom. She said the C5. Okay.
What?
Don't blame your mother. I'm spending her money.
Mom.
Speaking of Z5, I mean, although we're not exactly, but for anybody with partners or friends and that, the Z5 is really a great kit for somebody that just doesn't want to finagle with lots of mess, still wants to carry a camera that you can get lenses on and stuff, but it's a great lens. It's a great camera, a great little kit, but it's great starter. For sure. Does anybody else? I think I've kind of gone over everything. I'm getting a reverb from the Facebook Live thing, so I'm hearing myself twice. So you'll have to kind of bear with me here.
There you go. I got a question.
Yes, Evan, go ahead.
Is this about cameras?
Yes.
What camera do I use? Because I use my phone camera right now, and honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest. It's kind of shit. It's kind of shit. So, you know, I don't like it. I want to get a new one. Would you shut the?
I think we're going to get rid of this person. There we go. There we go. Okay. Awesome. Okay,
Nancy,
a little color this evening.
what did you say your third lens was?
Sorry?
What did you say your third lens was?
The 24 to 120.
Okay.
Yeah. The 24 to 120. So those are my three lenses, and that's my kit. And I think that works out great for me. I can get it in a nice wheeled. I use the Streetwalker version 2 of
Think tank.
From Think Tank. It's on wheels. Wonderful. I have to say, I just got a Think Tank that it's actually not for traveling to the place, but once I'm at the place, and it opens from the back. So it's a backpack, but I can swing it around and open from the back. So I don't have to put it on the ground. I have a few trips coming up that might come in handy. Galapagos maybe a little bit. It's waterproof. I will put all that up on my Facebook page as I just got it today, but it's essentially something I'll pack in my duffel. And this will be for hiking and stuff like that. And I'm off to South Georgia Island in October, which I'm very excited about. And it'll be nice to be able to have something I can have on the Zodiacs, but yet as I'm walking around, I don't necessarily have to put it on the ground, because sometimes, I don't know, for people that have traveled there, it's mucky, can be mucky and such. Let's see, sadly, you provide me that. Let's see, sadly. Oh, James, I'm sorry, come back in. If I disconnected you. I was trying to get rid of all the thing. If you're still with me, come on in. That was by mistake. I must have clicked you incorrectly. My apologies. I was trying to get rid of the color, should we say. So if you want to come back in, please do. And James, if you had any problem, well, James, you should be seeing me now on the Facebook page because you're coming in. So, okay, I see that. So if you have any questions, let me know. This has sort of worked out okay, even though it's a little bit, I think I need a drink after this going back and forth here, but it actually works out okay. And then people can get in, even though we have to kind of maneuver around the color. It might be the way to go. Okay, James, that's good. As opposed to Facebook Live, because it doesn't seem like Facebook Live is doing very good. Anyway, does anybody have any other questions? No? Well, if anybody does have any questions after we end this and everything, let me know. Post it on the my Facebook page, because I'm sure other people might have similar questions. So as I learn things more about the lens, I'll post it. I'm going off to visit some friends on the beach this weekend, some friends of mine out on the boat, and we're going to see the Blue Angels. So I will be using this lens on the Blue Angels. So I'll let you know. They're birds. They're just kind of, but I'm a pilot myself. So I do enjoy going to the shows, and my friends over in Orange Beach, Renee, you know them as Huey and Anna, invited me over out on their boat this weekend. So I'm going to be trekking over there. So you'll be seeing some pictures of the non-avian birds, but kind of a little break, which will be nice. So, okay, I think if there's not any other questions, like I said, it will be recorded, and I'll make sure it gets on I think I can put this on YouTube and then put it on my Facebook page. But like I said, if you have any questions or anything like that, just let me know.
Just want to thank you for your time. It's been very informative.
Well, I just wanted to let people know, because I know there have been a lot of people in a query about these two lenses. And I thought, well, at least I could give them a few tidbits, and maybe it'll make them make a better judgment, should we say. So anyway, you all take care and travel safe wherever you go. And please keep following me, please. And I have many trips coming up in the future, the Pantanal and Ecuador, and I do Costa Rica every year. So, please, we have a wonderful time. I have very small groups. So please join me sometime. And if you have any questions about them, please let me know. Okay, you all take care. Night, night.
Nancy.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.